The real star of today's story is my daughter Mickey, and I'm going to bring her into the video in a bit, but right now she's sleeping because she needs to rest. The story begins many years ago when I was but a wee lad, a toddler in fact. This was the age where I could just begin to walk and crawl around a little bit, and I managed to climb up onto the picnic table and I fell off. And my parents, being concerned, dedicated parents that they were, they rushed me to the hospital about 2 weeks later, where they discovered that yes, I had in fact a broken arm, I believe. Maybe a leg. I don't really know for sure because I don't remember it at all. I only know this story because I've been told many times that it took 2 weeks to get me to the hospital. How I managed to go 2 weeks without that becoming more apparent, I don't know. But that's the story that has been told to me. Fast forward about 30 years. I have not broken any bones despite leading a fairly adventurous life involving downhill skiing and snowmobile racing and motorcycle racing, a lot of work on horses, but I had never broken any bones until I went out on a leisurely bicycle ride. I was being accompanied by a young woman who, to all appearances, looked like the nicest, sweetest person you could ever want to meet. But really, underneath that innocent-looking exterior was an evil heart. Yes, because we were just innocently riding out this peninsula, lovely day, having a good time, when suddenly, out of nowhere, she puts on a burst of speed and starts pedaling away from me. This clearly was a challenge to my ego, my fragile male ego. This could not stand, so I immediately put on my best effort to build a head of steam that would catch and pass her by. And I went to shift, and those knobs are shifting right in the middle of the steering wheel. So you've got to take one hand off one half of your handlebars to shift that. And when I did so, the chain jumped and my feet started spinning radically, and I fell down into the ditch and was sitting there looking at this collarbone here and thinking, that's not supposed to look like that, and being in some pain. The evil one, Trisha, finally did pedal back to me and asked what was wrong, and because there were no cell phones, I think she went and found a nearby house that let her call. Our friend Brian came and got me, took me to the hospital, where they both went home, and I stayed and got some x-rays, and they discovered, yes, it was broken. Not a big shock because it was practically sticking out of the skin. It did not break the skin, but it was broken pretty badly. And I discovered that they don't do anything for that other than give you this weird harness thing to wear. You don't get any kind of cast or anything. But after 3 or 4 or 5, I don't remember, several weeks of recovery, it healed up all right, and I've been okay since. But that's the only 2 times I've ever broken a bone. Once I fell down as a very small child, and second I fell off a bicycle and broke my collarbone. Fast forward another 15 or 18 years or so. I am now a parent of myself, and my young daughter gets to the age where she can climb on things. I was going to be more responsible than my parents had been, so when Mickey, climbed up onto a chair and fell off, it took us only 1 week to realize, yeah, she's really favoring that arm. We should probably take that in and get it looked at. And indeed, she had a broken arm. How kids can be so tough and withstand a broken bone and not do any more than just kind of favor it, I don't know. But it was broken, and that is no fun, not only for the kid, it is no fun for a parent who has to take their child in with a broken bone because everybody looks at you strangely, like they think, what kind of an abusive parent are you? But she had just climbed up on a table, climbed up on a chair and fallen down. I wasn't home. So we finally took it in and had it looked at, and it was indeed broken. And so she got a cast, and she was adorable with it, and we got that all healed up, and she's been fine. Until this past Sunday, when, if you watched my last vlog, you know that Mulan and I, Lei Mulan, Mickey's older sister, had gone and had a wonderful day in Los Angeles, but just as we were almost back home, we were about 5 minutes away from the house, when at one of the many railroad crossings, in fact the last railroad crossing we have just 5 minutes from our house, we pulled up just as a train was stopping, and then it sat there. 3 cars left to cross the tracks, stopped, stuck, dead in their tracks, and we waited and waited for like 5 minutes when the phone rang, and it was my wife saying Mickey had had an accident, she couldn't raise her arm, and we needed to take her to the hospital. And I was like, can't you take her to the hospital? And because we're stuck here behind the train. And she was like, I'm too nervous, I'm afraid to drive, and when are you going to get home? And I was like, well, if this train will move, we'll be home in like 5 minutes, but this train is not moving. So we were kind of stuck there. She seemed to imply that Mickey wasn't in any immediate danger, but clearly it was a bad situation. We were stuck by this train for, we had been there for 5 minutes. We waited another 5 minutes, then another 5 minutes. After 25 minutes, we called Lilith because to drive around the tracks, we live in a canyon and it's there's no quick way back. But Lilith said she could drive Mickey back to Redlands where we could meet at Home Depot, and then we would go to our local Kaiser Permanente Health Center and take care of her there. So we turned around, drove back to Redlands, met my wife there, and I will let Mickey pick up the story from here. So, Mickey, what happened?
So I was scootering down the hill in front of our house, and then I fell off, and it really hurt, and then I broke my collarbone here.
What was it like? Well, you had to wait because it took Tata and Ate a long time to get home.
For a little bit, I just tried to stay calm, and then I got really scared, and I cried like a crazy person. But then I started to relax again, and didn't think about it too much, and I just talked about what I did earlier that day.
So when we went to the hospital, how did you feel going to the hospital?
Come on, people, why is this taking so long?
We had to spend a long time in the waiting room, didn't we? How was the doctors that took care of you?
They were really nice. They asked me what happened, and then I took this weird medicine, but it tastes really good. And then they just went to the other family, but they had to take x-rays.
What was the x-ray machine like?
I was kind of cold and my legs were jittering a lot, so I might have been a little shaky. But the x-ray machine, it was big, but I wasn't scared. But they also, right next to my arm, they put this little sticky thing so it could focus, I guess. Afterwards, I have to wear this weird harness thing, and I have to just relax, and I can't do any sports.
How come you're so brave and quiet with the broken bone, but what's the hardest part of trying to recover?
Bandages.
What's rough about the bandages?
They hurt when you take them off, and I have to do it every day, so it doesn't get infected.
That's right. Okay, so that is the story of my very brave and tough little girl, Mickey, who broke her arm and amazingly hardly complains about that at all, but she does have a hard time changing the bandages on her cuts. So what about you? Do you have any good bone-breaking stories? Or do you find that it's sometimes easier to be more stoic against really traumatic, serious injuries than it is about the small, little pains and aches of the day? Let us know down in the comments. Till next time, don't forget to be awesome, and we will talk to you again soon, hopefully. How are you doing?
I'm A-okay.